When you're 12, your world is tiny, but your passions are gigantic. Mine was baseball. It wasn't just a game, it was everything. The first thing I thought about when I woke up, and the last image in my head before I fell asleep. I grew up in one of those small towns where everybody knows everybody, and my entire life revolved around the Dusty Diamond at our local park. My most prized possession was a baseball, but not just any baseball. This one was a pearly white Rawlings official league ball, signed by some minor league player who'd visited our town once. To me, that signature made it the most valuable thing on earth. It was my good luck charm. I spent so many hours practicing with it that the red stitches felt like they were part of my own fingertips. Losing it wasn't an option. It was basically an extension of my arm. Our neighborhood was right up against a patch of woods, and just on the other side of those woods stood the Belmont Mansion. It was your classic haunted house, straight out of a movie. A creepy, two-story relic with boarded-up windows that looked like dead eyes, and a porch that sagged in the middle. The paint was peeling, the lawn was a jungle, and a rusted wrought iron fence stood around it, looking more like it was meant to keep something in than to keep people out. The stories about the Belmont Mansion were local legend. People said the original family who built it, the Belmonts, just vanished after a bunch of tragedies. Over the years, other families tried to live there, but nobody ever stayed long. The locals would just shake their heads and say the house took them. It was where every childhood dare started, and where none of them ever finished. We were all terrified of it, but secretly, we were all fascinated. It was one of those scorching hot summer afternoons where the heat makes the air look wobbly. My friends Mark, Stevie, and Toma and I were in the park, right next to the woods that separated our world from the Belmont Mansions. We were deep into a pickup game that felt more important than the World Series. I was on fire, hitting everything they threw at me. Then came the pitch, a perfect, lazy fastball right over the plate. I put everything I had into that swing. The connection was electric, that perfect, soul-satisfying crack that every player lives for. The ball just soared. It was a monster of a hit, drawing a perfect arc against the blue sky. We all just stood there, our mouths hanging open, watching it go. But our awe turned to horror when we realized where it was heading. Straight for the woods. Straight for the one place on the planet we never, ever wanted to go. It cleared the trees, and with a final, sickening crash of leaves, it was gone. It had landed in the overgrown yard of the Belmont Mansion. Total silence. The game was over. My friends looked at me with a mix of pity and obvious relief that it wasn't their ball. My stomach just dropped. My signed, irreplaceable baseball was now a prisoner of the haunted house. "No way, man," Stevie said, already shaking his head. "It's gone. The house took it," Tom added, his eyes wide. Of course, they wouldn't go with me. I tried to play it cool, scoffing at them. "It's just an old house," I said, my voice cracking a little. I was supposed to be the fearless leader of our group, and now I had to prove it. The truth? I was just as scared as they were, but my obsession with that baseball was stronger than my fear. I had to get it back. I took a deep breath and started walking toward the woods. I could feel my friends watching me from a safe distance. The second I stepped under the trees, the temperature dropped. It was cooler in there, and dead quiet. The only sound was my own feet crunching on leaves, like I was announcing my idiotic plan to whatever was listening. Pushing through the last line of trees, I was standing in front of the rusted iron fence of the Belmont Mansion. It was way more intimidating up close. One of the bars was bent, leaving just enough room for a stupid 12-year-old to squeeze through. I sucked in my gut and slipped through the gap. The world on the other side felt different. The air was heavy and smelled like damp dirt, rotting leaves, and something else, something old and musty. The grass was up to my knees, and thorny vines snaked across the ground, trying to trip me. I scanned the yard, my heart pounding, looking everywhere for that little glint of white. And then I saw it, nestled in the weeds, right by the sagging front porch, my baseball. The relief was so intense my knees almost buckled. It was right there. All I had to do was run in, grab it, and get out. I took a step forward, and a floorboard on the porch let out a long, loud creak. I froze. My eyes snapped up to the house. "It's just the wind," I told myself. Old houses make noise, but it didn't feel like the wind. It felt like the house was watching me, The boarded-up windows suddenly felt like eyes. I took another shaky step, and then I heard something else. A soft, scraping sound from inside the house. My blood ran cold. Was someone in there? A homeless person? Or something worse? Every nerve in my body was screaming at me to turn around, to forget the ball and just run. But I couldn't. I pictured that signature, my prized possession, and I was stuck. I had to be the fearless leader, right? I couldn't back down now. Slowly, carefully, I crept toward the porch. Each step felt like a huge risk. The yard was littered with junk, and every crunch under my sneakers made me flinch. The mansion just loomed over me, this silent, decaying giant. I could feel the pressure building, that weird feeling you get right before something terrible is about to happen. I finally reached the ball. My fingers were trembling as I bent down and snatched it out of the weeds. I had it. A tiny burst of triumph shot through me. I clutched it tight in my fist and turned to run. And that's when I heard it. It started low, a whisper from the darkest corner of the porch, right by the front door. It was a voice, a creepy, warped voice that sounded both strange and familiar at the same time. JJAAASSSOOONNN. It wasn't a yell, it was a summons. It stretched my name out, making my skin crawl. Hearing my own name, in that place, from that voice, it was the most terrifying sound I had ever heard. I stopped dead. My plan to escape vanished. My whole body went stiff. It was impossible. No one knew I was here except my friends, and they were way back in the park. The voice was deep and raspy, and it felt like it was echoing inside my skull, not in the air. It knew my name. All the ghost stories, all the talk of the house taking people, it all came rushing back. The house knew who I was, and it was calling me inside. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I wanted to run, but I was completely paralyzed, pinned to the spot by the sound of my own name. Have you ever had an experience that you just can't explain? A moment where the fear was so real you could practically taste it? Let me know your own spooky stories in the comments. And if you want to hear more stuff like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Then, the paralysis broke. Pure adrenaline dumped into my system, and I didn't think, I just ran. I ran faster than I ever had in my life, faster than I'd ever run the bases. I didn't dare look back. I was terrified of what I might see standing on that porch. The vines that had just snagged my ankles before now felt like they were trying to pull me down. I crashed through the bushes, my own ragged breathing roaring in my ears. I scrambled back through the bent bar of the fence, scraping my side on the rusty metal. I barely even felt it. I didn't stop running until I burst out of the woods and back into the sunlight of the park. I just collapsed on the grass, gasping for air, clutching the baseball so hard my knuckles were white. My friends ran over. "Dude, you look like you've seen a ghost," Mark said. "Did you see something?" Stevie whispered. I couldn't speak. I just shook my head, trying to catch my breath, trying to figure out what just happened. Did I imagine it? Was it all in my head? No, that voice was too clear. It was too real. We packed up our gear in total silence and started walking home. As we were passing the middle school, I saw someone in the distance that made my stomach clench all over again. It was my English teacher, Mrs. Dunlap. She was known for being incredibly strict and having a voice that could cut glass. She was just walking her little dog. As we got closer, she saw me. A small, humorless smile crept onto her face. "Jason," she called out, and my blood froze solid. It was the voice, that same raspy, dragging tone. "I was just thinking about you. My friends and I just stopped and stared. I saw you over by the Belmont property," she continued, her eyes narrowed. "A foolish thing to do. You're lucky I was taking a shortcut to the woods and saw you. I was just about to call out to you to stop, and just like that, it all clicked. The voice, the creepy but familiar sound. It was her, Mrs. Dunlap. The ghost that had called my name from the haunted mansion was my English teacher. The relief was so huge it was almost painful, but it was immediately replaced by a whole new kind of fear. The fear of being in trouble. My punishment was swift, a week of detention, no baseball for 2 weeks, and, the worst part, I had to write a 5-page essay simply.